While the world is focused on the U.S. and Iran right now, there's a devastating war unfolding not far from there. Lebanon, its capital, Beirut, once known as the Paris of the Middle East, a hub of culture and beauty, now turning into rubble. Israel has been bombing southern Lebanon in its fight with Hezbollah after the latest war broke out in March. Now the Associated Press is reporting more than 2,300 people have been killed in Lebanon, including hundreds of women and children. Tonight, more than 1 million people are displaced. So what's really happening on the ground, and who is paying the price?
And they're sitting there at their dinner table and they're getting bombed. There's something intrinsically wrong with that. Lebanon has been through very difficult times where they're located. They're just caught
in a constant war zone. Hezbollah and Israel fighting, and the people of Lebanon are caught between a rock and a hard place.
You know, everybody, well, Hezbollah's, they're hiding among the Christians, so we have to bomb.
Lebanon is 30 to 40% Christian.
Churches are being desecrated. You really wonder, where's the truth? I grew up believing that there were rules in war, and I'm beginning to wonder about people that do they just like killing? I said God lives in Lebanon, and I believe that God will protect Lebanon.
Your background, you were the head of the Texan Culture Institute here.
I was
San
the director
Antonio.
of the Texas Folklife Festival that was part of the Institute of Texan Cultures for 50 years.
And that festival celebrated all cultures, brought people from everywhere.
The Lebanese community contributed greatly to San Antonio. And so I think that everybody has a friend that's Lebanese.
So as a Lebanese American, what are you seeing that the world is not seeing right now?
The profound devastation. I know they've seen it, that innocent people are dying and being displaced from their homes. They have no home. They have nothing. They have nothing left.
I saw a post from you, and you were raising funds to help the Lebanese people right now.
They've told us it's overwhelming. There is so much more that need than what they can take care of.
I believe the population in Lebanon is like 6 million people.
I got involved with Caritas Lebanon USA. We formed a chapter here, and it's housed in St. Louis, and I'm on the board.
How many years have you been doing that now?
7 or 8 years. Mm-hmm. We've tried to do the humanitarian side. It's help the Lebanese people, those that need help. And one of the things that we did early on is we adopted families. And each one of us, all over the U.S., had a family that we would support. And it was amazing to me that $25 a month or $50 a month could support a family.
How far the dollar goes.
Exactly.
Does it go directly to the Lebanese people?
It goes to Caritas Lebanon.
What kind of resources do they provide the people?
Medicine, rent, food, electric, hospitalization.
How important is it that people step up and donate, even if you're not Lebanese?
It means that kids will get food. People that need medicine will get medicine. We're not the know-all and end-all with Caritas. I have to tell you, we're just one of many.
And your mother is Lebanese.
And my father. He served in World War I. He bought properties. He used to have a produce wagon, horse and buggy, that he would drive around. And so I just like all the other immigrants. And then he went back and married my mother and brought her to America.
I think when people hear Americans think of Lebanon, they automatically think it's an Islamic country, all of it. The president of Lebanon is Christian.
Yes.
The prime minister is Muslim. You have a large population that is diverse religiously.
I was born a Maronite. I am a Maronite Christian, And it's been a part of my life for all of my life. Having just been there and seen it in what I thought was the most amazingly beautiful trip that anybody, it was the dream vacation, going to the homeland, and the food and the people. It's a mountainous, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country. This romanticized, it's the Paris of the Middle East. It's the banking capital of the Middle East. And it's fallen on hard times.
A few years ago when you went back, when was the
Couple
last
of
time?
months ago. I was just there.
Couple
in
of
September.
months.
We were there in September. Yes. The first time that I went was in the 80s. And it was the war was ongoing when I went the first time. Then I had gone back a couple of times, but this time was unique because it was so peaceful. They were expecting the Pope's visit. He did more to unite Lebanon. His trip was hugely influential for all people in Lebanon.
I remember
not
seeing
just
those
the
images.
Christians. It was for the Lebanese. And I think that his message to them was, love your neighbor as yourself.
So even the Muslims welcomed him and were happy to have the Pope visit.
Big deal for the Lebanese. There was no indication from the State Department, who usually tells you don't travel. It was just an incredible time for us to go.
Beirut is a large city, a lot of nice neighborhoods, and bombs have been dropped on these areas. Thousands have been killed just in the last month.
The day that they were bombing Beirut, several of my Lebanese friends, the recent newcomers to America and to Texas and to our community, their families are there. They're bombing, and they can't get on the phone fast enough to see if they're all right. And that affects all of us. These are our friends. These are our family. We're the family of Lebanon. These people are suffering. Lebanon does not have shelters. They do not have a dome to protect them. They don't have sirens like all the other Middle Eastern countries have.
When you were there, did you notice a difference between Muslims and Christians? What is life like with Muslims and Christians living side by side there?
When I was there was absolutely no difference. There was no dialogue. Our bus driver was Mohammed, and our guide was Charbel.
They're just Lebanese. Nobody
They're
talks about
Lebanese.
religion.
And it was never brought up. And it was never, in all of the and we were there for 10, 12 days.
Are there a lot of churches in Lebanon?
Yes, and especially in the north. In
Everywhere?
Beirut, there is this beautiful mosque right next to a Maronite church. They are right next to each other. And I just loved the symbolism of that. The churches, some are very humble, simple, stone.
This was a pilgrimage, you said. What sort of pilgrimage was it?
A religious.
What did you do?
We went to all the little villages, to different churches, and said Mass every day in the little villages. Saw the different historic sites, Byblos, Baalbek, Tyre. 100 years ago, a little band of Lebanese started this little church called St. George. 100 years later, St. George is still there, thriving. Lebanon is in the Bible how many times? It is the root of our faith and where it all started.
Yeah.
Everybody, weren't you afraid? Wasn't it scary? I said, No, it was, we should all go. And then everybody was like, we should have gone.
So religion there is just somebody's personal belief. That's all it is. That people keep it, just like here in the U.S.
Exactly. The problem is that politics and outside interference creates the divide. They make religion an issue, and it really isn't or shouldn't be an issue for a lot of people. They live harmoniously. They live in peace. I am totally non-political about Lebanon because I don't know enough. I do know that Iran has funded and supported Hezbollah.
It's interesting because in Lebanon, you have a lot of people who view Hezbollah as resistance fighters, but then you have other people in Lebanon who disagree with that, and they see that they are Iranian proxies, and hence the war right now between Israel and Hezbollah. And all of this is taking place in southern Lebanon, and the people are caught in the middle.
They are, and the Christians particularly, they refuse to leave. A lot of them, we were on a Zoom with Caritas in Lebanon, and they were, and this was a couple of weeks ago, they were taking, the patriarch and the military had escorted Caritas because they were taking medicine, they were taking food and medicine down there. The church, the Maronite church, is what these people are holding on to that are staying in southern Lebanon. They don't want to leave their homes. They don't want to leave their villages. They have lived there. It's everything they know. Now, a lot of them have had to evacuate just because it's just a hell zone. But a lot of it, and that's why we're so motivated, and I'm motivated to try to help, because I know that my parents came here and were so blessed by this country, and they were very successful, but they never forgot where they came from.
Do you feel like if Hezbollah was removed from Lebanon, that all the problems will go away and Lebanon will be safe from any occupation from Israel?
I think that I'm no authority on this, but just my own personal feeling is, as long as Israel is there, they are protectionists for their country at any cost. That border will always be subject to difficulties, I think.
Hezbollah or not?
Hezbollah or not. It's the border that's there. I mean, you can't cross. You can sit there. When I was there years ago, I was standing in Lebanon, and you can see right there's Israel, and you can't cross. You have to go Cyprus, Tel Aviv to go to Israel. You cannot cross right there. Or you couldn't back then, and you still can't, as far as I know.
Now, do you have Muslim Lebanese friends?
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys ever talk about this? You try to keep politics out of it.
I think that for most people, I know that they're more worried about their mom and dad, their brothers and sisters that are there. I'm more the humanist side of the suffering, and the devastation has affected me because it's where my parents came from. So I really don't know a lot about their politics. Mm-hmm. I don't know whose side anybody's on. I don't ask.
Now, from the 80s to 2026, it must have been a big difference when you landed and you walked out of that airport.
It was. One, there was no TWA jet sitting on the edge of the runway.
Been a long time since we've heard those words.
Exactly.
And those letters.
But, yeah. It's so modern.
When you say modern, because a lot of the images that we see here on television a lot of times come after a war. all you see is rubble and war zones. You don't see that in modern everyday life. It's really not very different from here.
It's not what you see on TV. Fabulous restaurants, fabulous nightlife. The younger generation was
like nightclubs.
Yeah, they loved going out and beaches. Everybody went to the beach.
You can have a building that's thousands of years old, and right next to it is, like you said, a modern nightclub, shawarma stand, or whatever,
a casino.
Like that's just part of the everyday life.
Gorgeous hotels, fabulous restaurants, just like any other tourist destination that you'd be going. And all of a sudden, wham, they're back getting shelled and bombed.
And the people dying are Christians and Muslims.
They're Lebanese. A priest was killed by Israelis in southern Lebanon. The churches are being desecrated. There's no regard or respect. War is awful, but I always thought that there was rules of war.
Are you afraid that Lebanon would turn into Gaza?
God, I hope not. I think southern Lebanon will, or is on its way. It's really been blown up pretty badly.
Have you been in touch with anybody back there in Lebanon, friends or family?
Through our friends here, we get the news because they talk to their parents every day.
Are they able to get in touch with them? Is there still internet?
Yeah, they call them on the phone and they find out, what's going on. And so far,
what do you hear from them, the ones who have family there?
Hunkering down.
Do they have bomb shelters? Do they have anywhere to hide?
No, they don't have bomb shelters, but they are using schools for the refugees that are coming from the south. Families are taking in their families. As an example, the 10-day ceasefire, everything kind of went back. People are out on the streets and they're shopping and doing. But they're very leery of how long it's going to last. We've got a lot of factions to contend with. Israel on one side, Hezbollah on the other, and the U.S. is part of this whole equation. And then the poor Lebanese people.
Even though you were born here and raised here, you speak about it with such passion, like you're still very connected to that side of the world.
I grew up in a household where that was the language that was spoken. I grew up speaking Arabic. I learned English a little. I'm fluent in Spanish also because our neighbors were all Mexican.
A lot of the Middle East speaks Arabic and English because of the British occupation, but Lebanon is more of a French. Everybody in Lebanon speaks Arabic and French.
And English.
I read comments online sometimes, and people will say something like, when they hear someone speaking about their, ancestors or where they came from, they'll say, well, if you like it so much, you're not American, go back to that place. Go back to where your family came from. What do you say to those people? Can you be American and also love another place at the same time?
I was born here. My parents chose to come here, and they raised us to be hardworking Americans. But this is who the person that I am is from the culture and the heritage that I was given. It's a gift that we have this part of our history. And for people that say that, they're ignorant. They don't understand what it's like to have something like this be a part of your life. They haven't lived it. They don't know. So don't judge. Don't judge.
So you can be a patriot and love America and be an American and at the same time love Lebanon.
Exactly. It's where my parents came from. It's the country that made me who I am in a way, because of the culture that they brought.
Do you feel like people here know enough about the Lebanese people, the Lebanese culture?
I think that a lot of the knowledge about the Lebanese comes from food and also from the community. Tabbouleh. Nobody had ever heard of tabbouleh, and they served it in 1972 at the Folklife Festival. And they called it a health salad because nobody knew what a tabbouleh was. And fast forward 50 years, there is tabbouleh, hummus. When my mom came, my father took her to the grocery store, and she's looking for chibis. And there is no pita bread. And she gets this loaf, and she squeezes it, and she goes, "This isn't bread, it's mush. It's white butter crust bread."
Right, because she's used to the real deal.
So,
and chibis, I love how you just threw an Arabic word in the middle of all of this. Chibis is bread.
and so she bought flour and yeast and then went home and dug a hole in the backyard and was making her own bread. But, and we kid around. We never got junk food because my mother didn't know what a potato chip was.
Yeah.
And, we had vegetables and food. We never had any of that stuff. And when I remember going to school and thinking I would kill for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
That's funny. And now people would kill for a Mediterranean diet because it's
Exactly.
what's healthy and it costs more. That's another thing. I mean, for me, when I think of Lebanon, I think of all the famous, beautiful singers that come out of Lebanon, a very festive culture.
Hospitality, they're hospitable people. And wherever they go, they take it with them.
And a lot of people don't also know that Lebanon has deep ancient roots that date back to more than 7,000 years.
Absolutely.
These are places that have existed for a long time with a lot of civilization.
So when we got there, and I've made this statement so many times because truly, I said, God lives in Lebanon. The spirituality of the country and the people. We go to church on Sunday and holy days. They live it. It's in their fiber. It's in their lives. I am very convinced that God lives there. He is there in the people, in the mountains, in the churches, in the forests.
Is there,
You
in
have
your
to
head, is there a
have
solution?
You
Is there
have
hope?
to have hope. I don't know that there's a solution, but I look at this little country that has survived thousands of years and thousands of battles that have come across that poor little country over generations. And I really don't know what the outcome's going to be. I just know that the people have faith. They have hope. It's just heartbreaking.
How do you cope?
You pray. You pray. I pray a lot for Lebanon. And we do what we can. Like we're doing a golf tournament here in San Antonio in May. That's all the proceeds go to Caritas Lebanon USA. And then
And we're not the only community here that's doing that, right? This is happening all over the U.S. where
Exactly.
the Lebanese are holding their own
Exactly.
events, raising money. So it's a collective effort
It
all
is.
over the U.S.
It is. They can contribute to Caritas Lebanon USA and just go to their website and donate. It was wonderful.
You brought me something. Do you want to tell me what this is?
On our
It
trip,
looks good.
we went to this village called, it's Mantara, and the town is called Makdushi.
And is this jam, right?
It's lemon
Ooh,
marmalade.
marmalade. Yeah, is this what they're known for?
They're known for, they grow and they package and they sell to support their village. And I was just really, it was little so I could carry it. Lebanon was just the food, the spices. You can't bring it all. And the olive oil.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I love your passion about Lebanon. and your roots. And thank you for bringing me this. I can't wait to try it.
It's delicious.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jo Ann.
This was wonderful.
Very much.
Absolutely.